I'm gonna go ahead and try to do my reader story. It is kind of long, so if it takes several parts, I am sorry. But growing up, I didn't know much about religion, to be honest. I follow what my parents said. We went to church every now and then, or like when we had like a quinceañera or a wedding, and we had to be there for the church. And also like the traditions, I guess, for Christmas, celebrating baby Jesus and the posadas. That was pretty much it. I didn't know much of it. Around high school, I started getting anxiety, and I think it was ninth grade. And I always admired how my friends were always so on top of their game. They knew everything about religion. Anything you would ask them, they would kind of like respond right away. And I didn't know. I felt like an outcast. I felt so lost. I felt dumb. I felt like, I don't know. I felt like maybe I didn't belong here. And I also didn't know who God was, to be honest. I didn't know who anyone or anything meant. And I reached out to my friend and I told him, I was like, hey, I'm having anxiety, this and this. He's like, okay, you just have to devote yourself to Jesus Christ and let him take part or lead the way. I was like, okay. So on this day, we went after class and he took out a piece of notebook paper and he was like, just write down this and whatever. So I was like, okay. On this day, I, Aileen Contreras, devote myself to Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. And I was kind of like, well, what's next? And then he was like, well, you're saved. Like, that's that. I was like, oh, okay. I tried reading the Bible. It didn't make sense. It honestly never made sense. It felt like I was reading blank pages. And I tried reading different versions. I thought it was just the versions that didn't make sense. But no, nothing clicked. So I downloaded like daily Bible verse reminders. So I was like, okay, well that counts as something, right? Obviously it didn't. Around my junior year in high school, I met my best friend. She's Muslim, and I admired her and her friends. They're always on top of their game. They would pray, and they were wearing hijab, which is what I admired the most. They look so beautiful. And also during like the month of Ramadan, I was always very, very curious, and I was like, well, we have Lent. It's kind of the same. It's not. I tried to fit in, but I was too afraid to gain too much knowledge because growing up, it was very, very taboo if you even seeked or like looked into another religion, according to my grandparents. And I remember it always stuck out to me that my grandma once told us as kids, if you even go into a Christian church, you're going to hell. So imagine going to hell for just going to a church. My grandma once told us as kids, if you even go into a Christian church, you're going to hell. So imagine going to hell for just going to a church. It's literally converting or like seeking another religion that's not Catholicism. It's like, whatever. I just like put it to the side. I thought they were just like thoughts. Well, last year I got really into it again and I wanted to keep learning about it. And I seeked out to my friend. I asked her if she could give me more knowledge, and she did. Bless her soul. She's been with me throughout my entire journey. And so what we did FaceTime calls. And this was during the month of Ramadan last year. And we would do FaceTime calls. And she always told me from the very beginning, I'm telling you this to teach you or to like educate you. And if at the end of the day or at the end of this like journey, you're like, hey, it's not for me. She said, it's completely okay. My feelings aren't gonna get hurt. It actually helps me. So I was like, okay. So we started. She broke down every single FaceTime call into such ease. Like she would make it like each day was a different topic. And so we started. I remember from the very first time she spoke and everything, like everything just clicked. Literally everything made sense. I had no questions, which I was like, maybe she thinks I'm like not asking because I'm not interested, but literally everything clicked and it just made sense. For like the first time in my life, I understood everything. And so that happened. And then she said, well, go ahead and buy this English Quran. She said, go ahead and read it. So it's like, okay. And then I would read it, and then sometimes I would like ask, like write down my notes and ask a question and be like, okay, once we FaceTime, I'll go ahead and ask this question. And I kid you not, I'll write down the question, and as soon as I would turn the page, my answer was right there, and it just amazed me. Like it was kind of like freaky in a way. And I even fasted during last year, and it was just like, okay. And honestly, everything started to make sense, or it started to fall into place. And I knew I wanted to convert. I was just very, very afraid. And I told my friend, I was like, hey, I want to, but I'm not ready yet. She said, that's completely fine. Take your time. July 5th of last year, I was in my last semester of nursing school. And the whole back of my head went completely numb. I thought it was a tumor or cancer. I started freaking out. I got rushed into the ER. And there I was in so much panic because all by myself. I was literally all by myself. In so much panic because all by myself. I was literally all by myself. I didn't have my mom. I didn't have anyone with me. And when they took me to go do a CT scan, I broke in front of the nurse or the tech. I can't remember who it was. I literally broke down in front of her. And I felt so debilitated. I felt so stupid because I was like, how am I about to be a nurse? And here I am crying in front of this lady to hold my hand because I was so scared. So I lay down and I'm literally shaking. I thought I was gonna fall from the wheelchair to just laying down. I was completely shaking like head to toe. So I lay down and I was like, God, like if you're here with me and like everything is gonna be okay, and I know you're not gonna leave my side, give me a sign. I said, give me peace. Let me be calm. I said, ease my anxiety, ease every feeling that I'm feeling right now. And I kid you not, as soon as I was done saying it, I felt so much peace in my heart. And it's a peace that I've never ever felt. And I was like, okay. I was like, it's my sign, not only like that I need to convert. And then after that, I texted my friend and I told her what had happened. And I was like, I'm ready. I'm really, really ready. But it doesn't feel right if I go and convert without you by my side, since she's been my teacher this whole time. So she luckily she flew down around that month. She doesn't live in Houston, and we went to the masjid. I took mashahala, and that's it. And that's how I became a Muslim. So as to how I told my parents, I told them individually. I was terrified for both. And but I did have in the back of my mind that regardless of what they said, they weren't going to change my mind. And even if it was the worst, I was still going to keep my decision of converting, and regardless of the outcome, good or bad, I couldn't do anything about it but just pray and pray for their acceptance. I told my mom first. I remember I went in there and I was extremely scared. I was expecting her to disown me, not speak to me. But I told her that I was learning about Islam and I was falling in love with the religion, and more than likely I was going to convert. It was just a matter of time. When I told her, she had the biggest smile on her face. She told me that if it made me happy and made her happy, and she wasn't going to stand in the way of my happiness. She's been my biggest supporter since day one. She loves seeing my pictures with hijab, and she also loves sharing them with family members. And she's been amazing throughout my journey. My dad, on the other hand, he already told my brother and I from the very beginning that if we ever wanted to marry, it had to be with a Christian person. And if we ever wanted to seek a different religion or convert to a different religion, he was okay with it as long as they worship Jesus Christ. He did give the example that he didn't want us to follow a religion that worshiped a black box. So I already knew it was going to be bad. So I remember I told them, my mom was in the room. He went completely quiet. He lowered his gaze and he did the face of, oh, something's bad. It took him a minute to speak after I told them. The first thing he said was, I'm very disappointed in you. I wasn't expecting this from you. I'm sad with the decision that you made, but if it makes you happy and it's something you want to do, I'll go ahead and support it. And he also asked if it was for a man. Clearly it's not. It wasn't. But he did speak to me for days. And now there's been like this huge shift. My dad has become a huge supporter. He loves learning about Islam as well. And also, if we ever go out to eat, he makes sure, like with food, like food wise, he'll be like, it doesn't have pork, right? Like just making sure, or like any like outside meat, like, right, like it's okay for her to eat. And it's just amazing. Like I prayed for so much, and just having my parents support me has, it's, I feel like it's made it easy on my journey.